Hello, my name is Hayley and I'm the Peer Support Coordinator here at Focus Birmingham, and I'm here today to just talk to you a little bit about decorating pumpkins. So as you may already know, we are hosting a pumpkin decorating competition here at Focus. We need a picture of your beautiful pumpkin sent to us by the 28th of October. I will pop the email that you need to send that to in a link below. But you need to send us your picture by the 28th of October, and they will be judged and a winner picked by the 1st of November. So I'm going to talk you through a few tips and tricks for decorating a pumpkin. So of course you can carve it, which always looks fantastic, but carving can be quite a lot of hard work. And you do need quite a bit of strength to carve a pumpkin. So if you can't do that, or you don't want to do that, another option is to paint it. So step one in painting your pumpkin is, of course, to get your pumpkin. So there are loads and loads of size options in pumpkins. I've got two here. This one is a small size pumpkin. So as you can see, it's roughly the size of my two hands, a bit bigger, a little bit heavier. And this is a nice smooth pumpkin, which is perfect for painting. There's a few blemishes on one side, but we can cover those up, so don't worry. But do try and get a smoothest one if you can. You can, of course, get large pumpkins, which are a lot of fun to paint. They do take a lot longer because they're so big. And unfortunately, my Asda did not have a large pumpkin to show you, but you can obviously get them quite large size. On the other end of the scale, you can get a mini pumpkin, which this one is. So this fits in the palm of my hand. This is a very small pumpkin. Again, it's very smooth, so perfect surface for painting on. The benefit of a mini pumpkin is it will not take you anywhere near as long, and you won't use a lot of paint or a lot of material, which can be a benefit. The downside is it being so small, you will have to work quite closely. The details will be quite small, which might be a problem. It is a little bit more difficult than if you've got a bigger size pumpkin. So pop to your shop, have a look at the pumpkin selection, grab which one you think suits your project, and then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a layer of gesso. So if you haven't painted before, gesso is this stuff here. Just move my pumpkin and I'll show you. And it is basically a thin white paint. So this was from Poundland, very cheap and cheerful. If you don't have gesso, white acrylic paint would do, white house paint would do. Any sort of white paint would be fine for this. And basically the reason we're doing that is we want to create a base layer, because if you paint directly onto a pumpkin, basically it will absorb it and you will have to do a lot of layers to get a good colour. So I'm just going to show you now. I'm just going to demonstrate on my blank pumpkin. I've got some green acrylic paint and I'm just going to put a layer directly onto the pumpkin with no gesso, and hopefully the camera's picking that up. You can see it's green, it does work, but it's very, very thin. So to get a really good colour on that, I would have to do probably 5 or 6 coats, which would take a long time. You have to let it dry in between. Whereas with gesso, which I'm going to demonstrate in a moment, it will go straight on. The colour will be much more vibrant. So if you can't get hold of something to do a base layer, don't worry. You can still paint directly on your pumpkin. It's not the end of the world, but it does look better with a coat of gesso. So here's one I have primed earlier in Blue Peter fashion. Here we go. And as you can see, it looks very much just like white paint. I put 2 layers on, so it's dry now. And you can still see bits of orange through, but it is just going to give us a much better base layer, as I say. So if I put the green paint on the gesso, you'll see how It is much more vibrant. You can't see as much of the pumpkin through it, and it's going to take a lot less work to get it looking really good. So you can either gesso your entire pumpkin, which is how this looks, white all the way around, or you can just put it in the patches where you're going to have paint and leave the rest orange. Completely up to you. Make sure it dries completely before you start, otherwise you will just get in a bit of a mess. So step 1, we got our pumpkin. Step 2, we gave it a base coat. Step 3 is choosing the material we're going to use, the kind of paint. So there are a couple of different options. What I've just used here is acrylic paint. Again, you can find this in Poundland, in Wilko's. Sometimes the big Asda's and Sainsbury's will do like an arts and crafts section. It's pretty cheap. You shouldn't have too much trouble getting it. It comes in loads of different colours. This is green, nice Halloween green. You can also get poster paint, which is very similar to acrylic. Leave my pumpkin. There we go. That is poster paint. As you can see, it's also very cheap. It's got a label on that says 99p. Yeah, so that is another option. I will put a little bit of poster paint next to the acrylic, just so you can see the difference in colour. So it is a bit thinner, it is a bit more watery. And again, you're going to need to wait for that to dry and do a couple of different layers. So acrylic is best if you can get hold of it. If not, poster paint will also work. Little tester pots of house paint will also work, and they are nice and thick. So that's another option if you've got anything lying around in the shed, or you can pop to a sort of DIY shop. That's another good option. So those are the kind of paints we can use. If you don't have paint or you don't want to use paint, it can get quite messy. Another option are acrylic markers. So this looks like a pen. Leave my pumpkin again. So it looks like an ordinary pen, but a bit thicker. So it's probably the thickness of my thumb. And it's a long plastic pen with a lid, and inside is paint. So it is much neater than a brush and paint. You don't have to pour the paint out, you don't have to dip your brush into it. The pen holds all the paint inside, and then all we need to do is put it straight onto the surface. So I'm going to just do a circle so you can see. That could be the start of a spooky eye shape. And as you can see, it goes straight on. You won't need 2 layers of that because it's really nice and thick, and the black's a good colour for, you know, covering up the background anyway. And it's not messy at all. You just put the lid back on when you're finished so it doesn't dry out. And that's it, done. Again, these are also in Poundland. It sounds like a sponsor, Poundland, but I don't. They just have a lot of good stuff. So if you can get to one and these are available, that's great. Grab one of those. If not, another alternative, which will give you a similar effect, is a Sharpie. So Sharpies, if you haven't seen them before, are marker pens, permanent markers. You can get them most places that sell any kind of stationery. They're pretty easily available. It's a couple of quid for just one pen, so they're not quite as cheap, unfortunately. But again, they will write on almost any surface. So you just have a thick nib, and again, if we just do a little circle next to this one, there we go. So this one is not quite as thick, as you can see. You will need a couple of coats on that, so you'll need to leave it to dry and then go back and do some more. It has got quite a fine point, so you can do some detail. So if I do like a little swirl there we go. You can get some nice detail, but it is not as thick as the paint, so it will take a bit more work. But if it's what you have at home, it's ideal. So those are the options for materials, what you can use to paint onto your pumpkin to decorate it. So once you've got your pumpkin, you've given it a background coat, a base coat, and you have decided on what kind of paint or what kind of pens you're going to use. The next and final step is designing your pumpkin. So there are loads and loads of options in pumpkins. The kind of most obvious is a spooky face, eyes and a mouth. You can also do any kind of Halloween theme that you like. You could do a bat, you could do a spider, all sorts of things like that. So let's turn our pumpkin to a bit of white space. There we go. I'm going to use my paint marker and I'm just going to demonstrate a bat and a spider because they're pretty simple to do. They look really effective, they look really spooky, and all you would need to do is put some white bits on your pumpkin and then do a spider or bat on top, and that's a really nice simple design. So spider is a circle or a slight egg shape, not a perfectly round circle. There we go, little circle. And then he's got legs, so there are 8 legs, so we want one at the back, and the leg is just a straight line with a sort of downward slope at the end, so almost like an upside down tick. Let me do another one there, another one there. Oh, there's a little patch where the gesso isn't quite dry there, so the paint is not sticking, so do just be careful that it's completely dry before you start. And then one more leg there, and then we're going to do the same again on the opposite side, so it's sort of symmetrical. Don't worry about it being exactly symmetrical, but more or less symmetrical on the other side. There we go, and one more at the front. There we are. That is a spooky spider. If you've got glitter, if you've got googly eyes, anything like that would make that look even better. That would look perfect. But also if you've just got a bit of black paint, that also looks really creepy and yeah, really impressive. So turn it around again, and for the bat is a little bit harder, and it needs to look quite symmetrical. So if you're not very good at making it look the same on both sides, and I'm not, by the way, the bat is a little bit more challenging. But for a bat, we're just going to go for a line, a straight line, and that's going to be the bat's body. And then we're going to do the wings, which are a sort of lightning shape. So it's like a zigzag. So we're going to go out, down, up, down, out. And we're going to do the same again, so they match. So we're going to go down, up, down, up, down. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So up, down, up, down, and down, up, down, up. And then of course you would cover all that in so it's completely black. There we go. And as I say, if you've got glitter, if you've got sparkles, if you've got googly eyes, anything like that, would just make this look even better. You could tie some ribbon around your pumpkin, especially if you've got some spooky Halloween ribbon. That would look fantastic. Yeah, so just let your imagination go wild. Loads of really cool Halloween themes you can do. So that is our bat and our spider. Please send your pumpkin designs to us. Take a photo or a short video if that's easier. Send it over to Pav's email address, which I'll make sure is attached to the video by the 28th of October, and we'll get them judged by the 1st of November, and yeah, we will let you know who the winner is. So have loads of fun, I hope this video has been helpful, and I can't wait to see all of your amazing pumpkin designs.